without questioning it, just did as they were told out of fear. Now we need to understand that they will try to do this again, but with slightly different conditions, but the same psychology. So my name is Paula Hurlock. Welcome to my channel. If you haven't yet subscribed, now is a great time to subscribe. Today's topic is going to be about this whole notion of observing all of what is going on around you in your world, but not absorbing it. Now, if you follow my channel on IG, you would see that I post some of the most jarring uh, uh, pieces of information in terms of the reality that is unfolding behind our backs, unknown to us, hidden agendas that are unfolding, um, just crazy things that are happening. They're poisoning our water, and this is globally. They're poisoning our food supply. They're poisoning the dirt that our food grows in. They're vaccinating our food. They are genetically modifying all organisms with a view to eventually having greater number of persons being sterile. They are putting substances in the water supply that make organisms change their gender. Then there's the whole thing with the leadership of the planet in terms of the World Economic Forum, the NWO, all sorts of things. And when you put them all together, it's almost as if we are being attacked from the sky, on the earth, through our food, through new laws, new rules, new legislation, justifying deviant behavior, deviant kinds of activities, not just justifying them, but putting in legislation that will normalize them, attacking our children through exposure to certain concepts and realities that we would not necessarily want our children to be exposed to. It's overwhelming. And so the purpose of this message is just to reinforce that sometimes when I share these things or I talk about these things, it's not for us to be fearful or feel hopeless about or powerless as to whether we can or cannot combat all of what is being forced upon us. Rather, it is the intention to share with persons what is happening. There is a certain level of complacency among the population. There are people who go, but that's not my business. I don't care. That does not affect my life. That don't change the price of bread. Well, I assure you that a lot of the things that are now coming to the surface in terms of being revealed to us will in fact change the price of bread, will change your life, will impact your children, will impact your livelihood, will impact your day-to-day life as you know it. So it is important to know that these things are happening behind the scenes, know that these things are happening globally, and know that there is a possibility that wherever you are in this world, it is going to possibly impact you. Now, there's a reason why I use the word possibly. And I would say if I were going to give a theme for this presentation, it would be observe, but do not absorb. Why? Because at any given time, you are able, or we collectively are able to shift a timeline, shift a probable outcome. Now, what we need to understand is that some of the things that we are seeing on the news that is like bombarding us, overwhelming us with scary potential outcomes are placed there on purpose for this specific reason, to make us afraid, to put us into fear. When you have a collective that is fearful, then you have something like the lockdowns of the pandemic being possible, because so many people were fearful and so many people were compliant with authority that everybody, without questioning it, just did as they were told out of fear. Now we need to understand that they will try to do this again, but with slightly different conditions, but the same psychology. So it is our business and our role and responsibility to not become fearful. So we observe, we make sure we watch what's going on, because all of it eventually is designed to impact each and every one of us on the planet. We observe, but we don't absorb. So we don't accept the possible outcome of doom and gloom. And we continue to build an egregore of a vision of what we want. And I want to just define egregore, because maybe people are not familiar with the term. It's EGRIGOR, egregore. And egregore is a reality that arises from the collective thoughts of a distinct group of people. So, for example, if everybody in, for example, the Middle East is all about protecting their turf and protecting what they believe in, then there is always going to be an egregore of a war or fighting or defense. And if there is an egregore among, for example, the African American people of the US that believe in the hood and that believe that there is crime and drugs and gangs are synonymous with young black men, then that egregore is actually going to exist. So there are many egregores that are being built through this fair that is being promulgated by the powers that be, right? Mainstream media shows certain things. We all buy into it. We believe that it's coming, and it comes. But how about if we decided to see what they are pushing, observe it, and recognize that it is being pushed, and then decide on an alternative vision, an alternative timeline for ourselves? If we have enough persons with an alternative timeline that is, I like to call it heaven on earth, and this is something I see for myself every day. Every day I get up, I see for myself good health, happiness, balance, harmony, joy, peace, beauty, tranquility, luxury, beautiful nature, beautiful home and secure home, safety, protection, and just happiness and prosperity for me, my family, my friends, and for my country. That's what I see every day. And what has happened is that no matter where I am, I tend to have that experience. And many of the persons who are aware of this strategy and have been cultivating an egregore, a vision for themselves of all of those beautiful things that I just named, they are beginning to live that kind of life. Now, I know sometimes it's going to be hard for some people who are, unhealthy at this time. They're in horrible relationships. They are, financially not as well off as they would like to be. They feel trapped in the communities or the realities that they're in. You have something that nobody can take away from you. And that is a mind's eye, where you can visualize or imagine what you want to be in it. And what they say, where attention goes, energy grows. So when mainstream media is on and on about a possible new pandemic or new legislation to make this legal and to make this be in the school system, or the fact that there is contamination of the water supplies in this state, that state, this country, all sorts of things. Just stop, step back from what you have observed, don't absorb it, and then you come up with a counter strategy or a counter vision of what you have just seen. And if everybody on the planet who is aware and connected and conscious, if everybody on the planet is doing that, yes, we're going to have divergent visions. But if we make it mostly positive, joyful, happy, abundant, prosperous, harmonious, then I think we would have won. So if you're in a part of the world where you're feeling any kind of uneasiness right now, if you can, think about relocating. Relocate into the suburbs of where you live. Relocate, if it's possible, to another country where you feel like the targeted initiative will be not as felt. Move to those locations. If you want and you're able to go off grid, you go off grid. Because what we're recognizing is that there is going to be two divergent worlds. One person was explaining that to me, and I quite agree. There's going to be those following the new world order, and then there's going to be those following the new earth. The new world order is about, transhumanism, control, manipulation, enslavement, territories, just a lot. I call it a very dark future. Whereas the new earth speaks to harmony, harmony with nature, being in nature, feeding yourself, feeding your children and making sure they're healthy and happy and okay, living off the land, working in community, being compassionate to your brother and sisters on this earth, coming up with mechanisms to ensure that all is fair, everyone is taken care of, nobody's left behind, making sure that everybody's healthy, people understanding that the herbs and the foods that have been put on this earth are there for healing and our health, and understanding that you don't need laboratory produced chemicals to be healthy. Food and herbs and water and sunlight and good clean air are sufficient to keep us healthy and strong. So we have a choice at this time to choose one or the other. However, if you are not paying attention, you may choose this one, which is darkness and manipulation and control and transhumanism, and think that this is a logical future. It is not a logical future. We were born humans, we were born into nature, and this is the way we should remain. And it's not old-fashioned thinking. So don't tell me that, hey, you need to move with the times and this and transhumanism is the way to go. That is just one agenda being promulgated by one group. We don't have to go that way. So if you're interested, you're going to go that way, and that's perfectly fine. One of the beauties about this planet is that we have free will. But just be careful that the free will that you're exercising, that you know exactly where that path will lead. So again, I urge everyone to pay attention There are things that are going to be painted as easy, logical, the right thing to do. We all saw where that went the last time they told you about the right thing to do. So look at it, do the background research, and know what it is that you are doing so that you can understand the path that you are on, whether it's this path or that path, and then you make a decision that is sound and a decision that you know that you will be happy with in the end. So just pay attention, observe, but do not absorb. No fear. Eyes open.